I'm Axel Foley, Beverly Hills Billy Inspector!
You've stolen this house.
How do you steal a house?
Welcome back to the Ruby Tuesday. My name's Ruben and this is my review for Beverly Hills Cop II, which came out in 1987. In the UK it's a 15 and it runs an hour and 40 minutes. Eddie Murphy playing Axel Foley, returning once again to a case that's connected to the first film. Let's jump in. Axel Foley returns to Beverly Hills Cop to help Taggart and Rosewood investigate Chief Bognell's near-fatal shooting and the series of alphabet crimes associated with it. What's great about this second one is it's directed by Tony Scott, so although it keeps the same sort of feeling, we have Tony Scott's artistic direction when it comes to on-screen or in-screen looks. The cinematography is brilliant, the art direction with character in them looks fantastic, and that comes from Tony Scott's early great performances as he directs his character and what we want to see. If you want to see some of other Tony Scott's amazing work, just go and see his IMDb page. One of the best directors we had. It was a real shame how he died, so you know, check out his work. I think you'll enjoy it. And obviously his brother is still going on with Ridley Scott doing Aliens and all of that, but Tony Scott helms this one. You do feel the change, but what's great about it is that because it's connected to the story of the characters that we've met, with Judge Reinhold still playing Billy Rosewood, with Ronnie Cox as Andrew Bognell, which is the main story where we see Mr. Bognell or Chief Bognell get shot because he was onto something, and because of the character relationships that Eddie Murphy's character Axel Foley has connected with we see at the beginning again how he's on a bus trying to go about to mess something else up, and then he gets this phone call about his friend being shot and how he was about to go on a fishing trip with them and then changed his mind, and then there's this whole story of him wanting to be a part of this investigation. Well, he forces himself to go on holiday and go and help his friends again, and so we get the band back together because they've been this together. There's a sort of camaraderie that I miss from buddy cop movies, that was connected, that was established from one. They know what they're in for with Axel Foley. We know what we're in for with his sort of comedy, but also that sort of fish out of water because he belongs in Detroit and he comes to Beverly Hills and he pushes people's buttons, and that's when we get to see how people who are the bad guys, like Bridget Nelson, who plays Carla Fry, this tall 6-foot blonde woman who's scary in stature, how they react to his presence. Dean Stockwell, who plays Chip Kane. Stockwell's obviously a fantastic actor. A guy that just looks like he wants to kill you all the time, Jurgen Prochnow, who plays Maxwell Dent. He's the guy that he just looks angry. He looks like you should cross the street when you see him. So we have interesting characters whose buttons get pushed because of the Axel Foley character. I believe in Ontario this film was rated an 18 because of one line of dialogue. She can suck a golf ball through something of a pipe, and Paramount appealed the decision so that you could get 14-year-olds to go and watch it, and so they removed that line. But in the UK we still have that line that hasn't been edited out. I thought it was funny that film, considering there's just some bad language, violence that isn't that violent, and basically no sex. There is some nudity at a bar, but it was very minimal. To put that as an 18 restriction just shows how different times have changed now according to what we think is a hard R or an 18. There's a scene in this film where our trio of cops end up at Hugh Hefner's house, and it's a funny scene. It's just a weird inclusion, and I do wonder if then behind the scenes that was like, if you're going to go to Beverly Hills, you have to go to a few famous places. Let's get Hugh Hefner's and his ladies on screen and camera. You know, they're pretty, and the crashing and bashing in these movies is amazing to me. The collateral damage that Axel Foley gets away with is obviously not what in any way reality. It reminds me of Terminator 3. There's this, I know, and I probably shouldn't bring Terminator 3 up again because a lot of people are trying to remember that film even existed, but there is a moment where Arnie is driving a truck through a crowded street. It's a big, massive truck with a crane on the back of it, and they're just smashing trucks to the left and right. That's what Beverly Hills Cop 1 and 2 have. There are scenes, particularly in this one, where they're smashing through and they're just causing massive wrecks. And this today would cost so much more money in special effects, but they do it in camera, which is amazing to me. Because our characters have come a long way in their camaraderie, they trust each other more. So the banter, I believe, flies off a bit more. Our characters are starting to develop more. Our happy-go-lucky cop, who's a bit green, is not so green anymore. And he's showing some interesting character developments, which, if you don't remember, is quite a fun realization, is to see what our character, especially Judge Reinhardt, has gone through. Even John Taggart becomes much more looser, so they're able to work together as a team in number 2 much more and uncover the whole big gun runners plot behind the scenes. It's a very formulaic story, and it's similar to 1. I still believe 1 is better than 2, even though Tony Scott directs number 2, and I think a lot of people will say 2 is better because Tony Scott helms number 2 and it looks great. But when you have that original story that works so well, I think 2 kind of does the same form, that very similar story, but connects emotionally, which I think works really well. As a franchise, I think it does that really well. It makes us connect to the characters, we care about what they're going through, and then just having Axel Foley, Eddie Murphy, hold that humor but make it real and not over the top. I always thought these films were more over the top than I thought going back and watching them, and surprisingly to me, number 2 holds up as well as number 1 does. Some of the jokes still land even though they're really old, but I do think this is slightly less better, less gooder, to make terrible English, than 1. Still holds up, still funny, great in-camera action scenes, and wonderful to see these characters again. So I'm going to give this 3.5 Nicolas Cages out of 5.
You got one.
Let me know your ranking, your favorite of Beverly Hills Cop 1 and 2 so far, and your favorite character. I'd love to know. I'm still struggling to get over pneumonia and this COVID, but I am on the mend, so please do excuse my raspy voice or my coughing, or I'm not speaking loud enough. But I do appreciate you guys. I hope you like these retro reviews, kind of look back at some great films, just kind of recovering these as number 4 is coming out soon. Thanks so much. Most of all, until next time, remember, live long Tuesday.